Hello and welcome back to Heart Hustle Hardwood, the Schooner Pods college basketball podcast that just kind of pops in here and there. I'm your host Bobby Howard. With me today, we got Bowden Blake, captain of the TCU ship, and we're here to talk about the Big 12 tournament. And Blake, I gotta say, don't know how much you've been following the Big 12 women's basketball situation, but I'm looking forward to having an in-depth conversation about the two-seeded Sooners. Can they get revenge on Texas? What do you think, man?
Oh gosh, you gunned ahead. I could not tell you who is the number one seed for the women's tournament. I would maybe I don't even I have no idea where to start. Like I know TCU's probably not that good. I just feel like every time I see them they're losing by 20, 30 points. So I know that for a fact, but
It's Texas, believe it or not, but
oh
OU
wow.
got a share of the championship. We're actually talking about the men's tournament. Way less exciting. Sooners are the 10th seed in that, but no, the women. Shout out to OU women's basketball. First shared conference championship or first conference championship in general since 2009. Great stuff there. And yeah, shout out to them. We'll probably talk about them in the main pod later this week, but we're here to talk about the Big 12 basketball tournament, the men's tournament going on in Kansas City, starting on Wednesday with a couple lower seeds. But Blake, this has been, of the wild Big 12 years, this might have been the craziest. Top to bottom, teams are winning. You saw that last week where the Oklahoma Sooners went in and blew out a TCU team that has been very good, very consistent all season long, out of nowhere. What are your thoughts on this conference? It's obviously going to change a lot next year and into the future, but what do you think? What has your experience been as a Big 12 basketball fan in the last year of this just total madhouse double round robin?
This has been the craziest year of basketball. Like the Big 12 over the past few years has kind of been ascending to be like by far the best basketball conference, but this year takes it to a whole new level. Like you kind of mentioned it with OU, like in a like this kind of like a backhanded compliment, but like OU might be the best last place conference team of all time. Like the fact that OU has beaten Alabama, TCU, has had close games with a lot of these Big 12 schools. It's like OU's not some chump, but like somebody has to be on the bottom of this conference. And it brings out an interesting debate I saw. Like Joe Lenardi was going back. It's like, OU, if you put them in another conference, are they dancing? Like, on one hand, the Big 12 offers quad one wins every single matchup you are playing. Like you have the opportunity to rack up the most quad one wins. We're seeing it with Kansas that has racked up the most of all time this season. But on the other hand, it's like if you go to a different conference, you're not getting that same quality. Who knows what's going to happen? But this is by far probably like metrically the strongest conference we've ever seen in basketball history.
Yeah, I mean, OU is the worst team in the conference with a 15-16 overall record, a 5-13 conference record, but they're 68th in net, which is unreal. That's
It's
unreal.
it's insane. It's insane. And like you see they went out against a TCU team, one that's still trying really hard to get off that 5 line. Like they want to go to a 4 seed. We'll probably talk about it more next week when we actually break down the bracket, but you don't want to play the 12 seeds this year. And you just like romped them. It was insane. It was never close. Like there was at no point where I thought TCU was going to come back and win it, and it just shows the quality of this conference.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good. And, I think a lot of people haven't hit the panic button fully on this basketball program just because they're like, well, we're going to the SEC. It's going to be a lot easier over there. But you'll have a little bit of the quality out there. Obviously, Alabama's great. Kentucky, perennially very good. Not as great this year, of course. But, there's an opportunity to grow there. You're not getting stuck in the meat grinder every single night with no opportunity to escape it. It's a tough conference. And in terms of a tournament, it's also tough to win for sure. So let's get this thing started. If you've seen the title, first thing, is there any hope for OU basketball? Sources, probably not. Let's just go ahead and cut to it. Probably not.
Nope,
tenth
you got to
seed.
win the conference. You got to win the conference. Like you have to win the tournament. I know even if you like string together, I guess it would be 3 wins even getting there. That's 3 quality wins, but I think OU's so far off the bubble right now. They have to win it in order to make March Madness.
Oh, no, I mean absolutely. And look, they've been pretty solid against a lot of Big 12 teams. They have either beaten or been close to beating every single team in the Big 12 except for Oklahoma State, who is the team they have to play game 1 on Wednesday. The Pokes have had the Sooners number for a number of years. Mike Boynton has been absolutely on fire against OU. So in terms of matchups, it could not be worse.
Yes, it's hilarious. It's like that like little section of the brackets, like the love triangle of rivalries in a way. And it's like so interesting because it's OSU. OSU's a horrible matchup for OU. We've seen it this year. OSU sweeps the season series. So OU's already up against it then. But when you look at Texas, who they're going to be playing next, Texas has kind of owned OSU, but OU has played Texas super close this year. And like, it's just so wild that you like see that when you see the worst seed there, that like Texas is probably praying that OSU wins that game. It doesn't have to go against OU again because it just feels like OU is so close to knocking off Texas after the 2 games we've seen this year.
Yeah, both games very narrow games. Even the one at the Moody Center, toss up across the board. I'm just saying, don't let the Sooners get hot. If they somehow figure out Oklahoma State, who knows? They could get hot, win 2 games, and then at that point, you never know what happens. But no, it's a long shot. It's probably not going to happen. Very thankful that the NIT has changed their admission rules. You don't have to be over 500 anymore. That's not a requirement. So hopefully OU can make a run, get it, do something impressive and get in. But I gotta say, OU is probably the one team that is 100% like needs to win the tournament to get it. Are there other teams that are also like that, Blake? Oklahoma State, I know, is kind of dicey. Texas Tech, of course. Cactus Gang has not looked great. And with the whole Mark Williams situation being what it is, let's just talk about Tech.
Yeah.
Specifically, because there's a lot to unpack there with the Red Raiders.
Yeah, so Tech starting the season, like they didn't have a really strong non-conference, gets to conference play and is honestly horrible. Like they string together, like I thought there was a chance they're not going to win a single conference game, but the reason probably why was their best player, he's a Utah Valley transfer, AMAC, incredible. Just been injured all year long, haven't really gotten him back, but once they did, they started rattling off good wins. They beat K-State and Texas back-to-back, with a pair against West Virginia and OU as well. And people thought like, oh my gosh, can Texas Tech actually do it? Like rattle off the last few games, make the tournament. They immediately lose single-digit games to TCU, Kansas, and Oklahoma State. And so at that point, you're put on kind of the outside of the bubble, but even a deep conference run can get you there, like can get you close enough. But then Adams is now saying racially insensitive like Bible verses and stuff, insinuating things in the locker room. And we've heard murmurs out of Lubbock this entire year that like things kind of off the court is not going well with him. And now he actually gets something. They suspend him. He's definitely not probably going to be coaching at all this year. Who knows what they're going to do with him? I don't know. I haven't been able to find what exactly he said. I just kind of got like a general description of what he was saying. So who knows if he'll be back? He's owed a lot of money. So unless it's really bad, I don't see them firing him. But it seems like he's kind of set the locker room on fire this year.
Yeah. Apparently he referenced Bible verses about workers, teachers, parents, and slaves serving their masters. So, that's not good. That's really not good. Yeah. What is up? What is up with that coaching staff from that Texas Tech team that made a run? Obviously, everything with Chris Beard has been weird. He leaves. Mark Adams comes in. He's weird. What is just a disaster? Oh my God.
I don't know. They just put up with like the weird personalities there. Like, remember when Bobby Knight, whenever he left Indiana, he goes to Lubbock and Tech. They like kind of like to bring the weirdos in, but it's wild that you would say the best conference in basketball somehow like 20% of their coaches by the end of the year just won't be there, and it has nothing to do with performances on the court. It just makes no sense why this Tech team went from really good last year. Seemed like Mark Adams, we were thinking, oh, he was the guy behind all the Chris Beard success. Like maybe they got the right guy. And now this year it just seems like he's lost the locker room, had a good, probably like veteran squad that you would think he could do something with. Like the three top players are all seniors and just still like it just feels the vibes are off. And so I don't know what they're going to do. Like I could see Texas Tech just kind of being stuck in this purgatory considering Mark Adams seems like he's lost the locker room.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's quite possibly the worst thing to happen right before entering a tournament where you really need wins. That's a difficult situation. Let's talk about the two teams that really probably that have realistic NCAA tournament hopes that really need some wins that are kind of down there in the crumbs: Oklahoma State and West Virginia. How do you feel about both of those teams? And I don't know if I had to ask you. Let's say both lose game one. Which one do you think has a better chance at getting to the big dance? Or are they both in?
I think, yeah. So, Joe Lenardi came out with his bracketology today. I think, and I agree with him on this. I think West Virginia's firmly in. They had enough conference wins, I believe 7 in this Big 12. Like that's pretty impressive. Like in years past, you would kind of need to be 500 or maybe one game down from 500, but they have good enough wins on their schedule. They beat K-State at home. I thought that just cemented it. They have wins they have 2 against Iowa State, who's a projected 5 seed right now. They have a win versus TCU, another projected 5 seed. They don't, I guess, necessarily have that win against that top tier talent of the Big 12, but I just think they have enough wins there. West Virginia, I believe, is in, even if they get bounced. But Oklahoma State's kind of the tricky one. Like they are on the final spot, I believe, right now to make the tournament, or they're the 69th team. Like they are right there. So theoretically, I think OSU is going to have to win at least 2 games probably, just because even though you're looking at it now, it's like 1 game would definitely put them in the field, but there's going to be bid stealers with all these conference tournaments going on. Like we've only had some of the smaller 1 bid conferences, but you could see something maybe out of the Pac-12 where it's like you really only have 2-3 teams that are going to make the tournament, but a Washington State could get hot, a Utah could get hot, steal that bid and knock OSU off the bubble. I'm a little bit more worried about them. I think 2 wins they have to get 2 wins in order to cement themselves into the field.
Yeah, and I'm not as well versed in the smaller conferences as you are. You sit on a throne of crumbs. You live in the crumbs. But from what I understand, there have been a couple like kind of bid steals of like some weird teams who have gone on and gotten the tournament spots. So to have that situation already ahead of time before we've hit the conference tournament week proper, you got to be sweating if you're a bubble team.
Yeah, like you look at this year, you have conferences that are super strong that are not your typical like strong mid majors. Like the Mountain West is really good this year. Like they have multiple teams. Utah State, Nevada sitting on the bubble. You have the Conference USA, which potentially, if Florida Atlantic loses, could be a bid league because they're probably not going to leave those really strong mid-major teams out for a team like OSU that's just kind of been middling in conference and also just didn't have a strong non-conference to show for anything. So if I'm a Poke fan, I'm a little bit worried going into this week. You have to get 2 wins, I think, to kind of clear you enough so a bid stealer situation doesn't bump you out of the tournament.
Right. I agree. That has to be a situation where you have to get some wins. And the thing is, the good thing for them, any win is a good win. Obviously, Oklahoma's not great, but going on and playing Texas, that would be a big win for them. And then at that point, you would have to you wouldn't hate your odds against a Kansas State or a TCU. I don't think if you went that far.
Yeah, like you could beat those teams realistically. Like OSU, like I think OSU's beaten us this year once, and like they've beaten these teams, so they can easily do it. It's just they have to get past kind of Texas probably at that 2 mark.
Yeah. For sure. That would be obviously. It's one of those things where if you go, you could go on a run to a championship, like a championship appearance, but you could also, blow it, game two, and then you have to sweat it out on Sunday. So it's a really boom or bust side of the bracket, I would say. But let's talk about kind of some of these other teams over here. So past the first round, past the Wednesday matchups, I kind of want to talk about some of these teams that really want to be risers. Like you're talking about TCU, kind of wanting to get off that 5 spot. I think Iowa State kind of similar in that range. Who do you think can really make a true, honest to God dark horse run in the Big 12 tournament that isn't, one of the top 4? I guess we'll say just Iowa State or TCU here.
Yeah, so like the team that I have circled, and like this is gonna be like the most homer take. It's TCU. Like if you go to our partner DraftKings, you look at those odds right now. TCU is like plus 750 to win this tournament, and a tournament historically that Kansas, like Bill Self, although they can easily win this and have won this tournament before, they don't really care about it all that much. They like the regular season title. That means a lot more to them. And some of these other teams, like they might be more resting guys. And I think TCU wants to make a statement. Like they are right on the edge. They are the top 5 seed wanting to move to a 4 seed. That motivation plus like TCU had a tough stretch there whenever Mike Miles and Eddie Lampkin were out, kind of the 2 engines that get that team running. And we haven't seen them fully healthy. And the only good thing you could take out of that TCU OU game is that Mike Miles was finally being aggressive again, creating shots, making shots, because honestly, the last 2 games, 2 or 3, he's just been a ghost. He's not been aggressive. He's kind of been passive. Like he'll take the double teams off of guys, but he just hasn't been a threat. So TCU, you got to worry about, are they going to rest Lampkin? Just let him get healthy for the tournament. But I think they want to prove something. I think this team, for being a team that's not traditionally successful at basketball and a squad that's mostly seniors and is going to graduate next year, I think some sort of hardware means something. So looking at TCU plus 750, if you want to go for like a good value, that's where I'm looking. Just because I like what they do on both the offensive and defensive side of the boards. Like they just do both very, very well.
Yeah, no, I mean, structure-wise, TCU, yeah, that's a really good spot. I have concerns about TCU's 3-point shooting is concerning, and
it's abysmal. It's so abysmal, and they need to stop it. Like that's what they need to do.
They shoot too much. They shoot too many threes for how bad they are. And in a tournament like this, it's one of those things where you can get cold fast and you can struggle fast, especially when your first opponent is Kansas State, who packs out the T-Mobile Center pretty well. That is not a team you want to see early. That is not really a team you want to see at all. There's really, in my opinion, there are 2 teams you never want to see in the tournament. Iowa State, Kansas State, because they both bring a lot of people and they both really care. Kansas, I feel like, can get tripped up a bunch because they kind of half-ass their way into it. They're usually, pretty secure and everything. Of course, they're very good. They'll go on a run like they did last year, but Iowa State and K-State have this kind of weird scrappiness where you can kind of see them make runs in KC.
Iowa State just is so usually they call it Hilton South, Kansas City, just because they're always packing it. I feel like even when they're bad, they always make a good run. But the thing that worries me about Iowa State, they do get a great first round matchup. We saw it this weekend. They went into Waco and just destroyed Baylor, because I think it's just the clash of 2 styles that Iowa State's fantastic on the defensive end, can't shoot the ball to save their life. Baylor's kind of the exact opposite. They refuse to play defense this year, but are great offensively. But Iowa State just grinds you. They just are always in your face. They make you make nothing, no shots ever comfortable. I'm going to probably, Baylor's going to be a favorite, slight favorite, but Iowa State money line is an easy take, I think, first in that first round game, just because I feel like that clash of styles, Iowa State's going to win 9 times out of 10. And although I think Baylor's probably poised to make a deeper run in March, that matchup's just hell. That matchup's hell for Baylor. And I agree, that crowd noise really, really, really is a factor in these neutral road tournaments where usually it's just kind of like dead for both sides. Like there's not much excitement elsewhere.
Oh yeah, this thing is like Iowa State Super Bowl. They go all out for this. They invade Kansas City in mass. Hell, when it was in Oklahoma City a couple years, they invaded Oklahoma City. So Iowa State plus 650, I love on
Yeah.
DraftKings Sportsbook. That's a really good future, I think.
You should
if you're going up to the tournament, first of all, God bless you. Can't believe you're doing that. But second, you'll be going through Kansas, so make sure to put a good bet out there.
Yes, and just general betting advice for these futures for the Big 12 tournament, don't bet the favorites. Like, don't bet Kansas, don't bet Texas. This tournament's going to be too volatile for, like, one of the favorites to for sure get a run in. You're not going to get good value for your money. Like, you hope when you take a K-State, a TCU, and Iowa State that's more over the 600 line. If you could get one of those to the finals, you could easily hedge out of that. You could do a lot with it. You could ride with it. You just kind of want one of those teams to make it to the finals, which is which could be very easy in this tournament. But just don't take a Kansas, don't take a Texas, just because they are the best teams. That just never really works in these Power 5 conference tournaments where a lot of these top teams have already cashed their bid. Like KU, Texas aren't moving probably that much in their 1 and 2 seeds respectively.
Yeah, I'm with you. Kansas, they're tricky because it's really a coin flip. Either they really care and they make a run, or they lose first, like the first time they get to play. We've seen them get upset really early in this. I think TCU even did it a couple years back. A couple of years back, I guess it's like 5-6 years ago, but it's happened before. So we've kind of talked about some dark horses here, but I don't know. Do you see any motivation for a Kansas State, for a Baylor, a Texas, or Kansas really doesn't have any. They're on the one line, I think, pretty set. But do you think there's any motivators for a Texas, a K-State, or a Baylor?
I would think K-State's pretty firm. I believe they would be, I believe, a 3 seed right now. And I think they're pretty firm there. I don't think they're going to add really all too much. And I think even there's probably some sort of bias in the back of the committee's head. They don't want to pump up all the Big 12 teams to all the top seeds. I know we're the most strong conference, but they're going to get some variety up there. So I think between Iowa State and TCU kind of trying to bump up to the 4 spot, they're both there. And then I could see Baylor, maybe not seeding perspective, but I think Scott Drew wants to get this defense right somehow. They've been great offensively. They have 3 guards that, similar when you saw that Baylor team win in 2021, they were fantastic when it came to the 3 guard lineups, and that's kind of what people see now. You got LJ Cryer, Keontae George, and Adam Flagler, 3 great guards, 2 seniors, one, or I think senior and junior and a freshman. So some experience there, but the problem is they just don't play any defense, which is what that Baylor national championship team did very, very well. And so I think he might use this as an opportunity to try to get things right. But that's just the thing that has me worried about Baylor. Baylor can light up anybody, could easily just get hot in March, make a way to a Final Four. I could see that. But I could also see them getting pretty bounced early just because they refuse to defend for some reason, which is just not Scott Drew's usual identity.
Yeah, which is weird. They seem like a different type of Baylor team than we've seen in the past, for sure. Okay, so we've kind of talked about everyone. I don't really think we need to talk about Kansas all that much. They're Kansas.
Yeah. Kansas is good. They're they have a few more flaws. Last year, I felt like they had a little bit better depth, had Remy Martin, David McCormick, some of those big pieces that came up in March. Agbaji, who was fantastic. They have a 2-headed monster, and they're not as deep, but this year I don't think is also as deep when it comes to those top tier teams. So they could easily make a Final Four run. That would not be shocking. They're really good. And Bill Self is finally, I feel kind of gotten the monkey off of his back, that after winning a second championship now, I feel that pressure's off, just because I felt for a while it was Kansas was getting bounced way too early. And that just kind of always those demons in March, even after you win you first, you kind of get those reputations if you just can't get far, whether there weren't warranted or not. But I think this Kansas team, like, they're still great. They could easily make a Final Four, and it would be the least shocking thing.
Yeah, I mean, even like Bob Stoops, like there were some like things around him towards the end of his tenure, even like early on, where they're like, oh, like can Stoops still do it? He only won the one in 2000, even though he's a great coach.
Greatness, yeah, like that's the thing. It's like, and then like people are like, Bill Self couldn't do it in March for like a while, and it took like a half court shot by Mario Chalmers to win his first one, like kind of lucky or whatever. But it's like, he was consistently winning the Big 12 regular season or tournament every single year for like close to a 2-decade stretch.
It was like 15 years.
Yes,
like
it was insane. Like, it's like that doesn't happen, and it's not like you're in a Gonzaga like West Coast Conference type scenario where it's like you are obviously the cream of the crop. Like, Kansas has been the cream of the crop, but like this is not a league full of scrubs. Even back then when it wasn't as strong as it is now, like it was still a top 3-4 conference consistently every single year.
Yeah, I mean, the Big 12 has always been incredible. Yeah. So, I mean, it wasn't even a big fish in a big pond. It was like a whale in a big pond. That's what they were. They were impressive in conference play, like as impressive as it gets. So, I get that. Speaking of Agbaji, by the way, I went to the Thunder Jazz game yesterday. There were like 4 people who definitely traveled from Kansas. And the entire game, they were just like, pass it to Ochai. And they'd be like, put him in. Like, you're losing because you're not playing Ochai Agbaji enough. And I'm like, geez, guys, calm down. Like, the Jazz are screwed.
Those Kansas players get that cult following, like Svi Mikhailuk, whenever he was playing, making his like little rounds. I feel like he had a little bit of cult following. Like, that's just like pure like Kansas. They always produce those senior guys that they might have a few years as like kind of a bench player, but like damn are the good college basketball players, but maybe not the best NBA ones.
Yeah, it was funny because they're like losing their mind. They're like, "Girl, where do you go, Ochai?" I'm like, they lost by 20 and he scored like 12. Like, come on. he did okay. But no, it was pretty funny. Anyways, so that's kind of speaking of a guy like Ochai, who these Kansas fans think is incredible. He was great in college. Who do you think is going to be the player of the tournament? Who's a name to really watch? Who we think is going to get hot and really make a name for himself, and kind of win MVP?
This is hard because like you want to go like the obvious like Jalen Wilson, Kansas, but like I could see Kansas getting bounced. Like that's the thing. It's like if Kansas gets bounced to the Big 12 tournament, like he's not going to win it. My underrated one that's like really been impressed me lately, and he's a 6-man, but Sir'Jabari Rice on Texas. Like every single game I've been seeing them recently, like even against TCU, against Kansas last weekend, this guy's coming off the bench and dropping like 20 plus the last like 4 or 5 games. Like he's a 6-man because he's coming off the bench, but he's playing very meaningful minutes. I'm liking what I'm seeing from him, and I'm liking how Texas, even though they've kind of had like 2 rough losses versus Baylor and TCU, but got it right last weekend. And I feel great about their energy and vibes coming into March Madness. It just seems everything's finally clicking with that program. And I think with with Beard being gone, they have like the pressure's a little bit off. Like it's not like their coach has to come in and perform in March, which Texas hasn't been able to do the past like decade. It seems like it just feels like they're playing loose. They're like playing free. I like Texas a lot going into this tournament, and Sir'Jabari Rice I feel like is their X factor right now.
Yeah, Texas has an advance to the second weekend in like something like since 2008. It's been insane. They've had like this incredibly cold streak of reaching the Sweet 16, which is crazy because they've had a really good program pretty much the whole time. So
yeah,
I don't know. It could be different this time, but you never know with Texas. So.
It just feels like the good thing is they kind of had the built-in excuse. It's like Rodney Terry was not meant to be the head coach this year. Like he's done a fantastic job for them, but it like kind of in March, like you can kind of take that expectations off. It's not like Shaka is trying to like get a tournament win for his job, or Chris Beard, you're paying him one of the top 10 salaries to like get you far in the tournament. Like it feels like you're kind of playing a little bit with house money. So I feel like that eases the pressure off in some of those early rounds that like get a few wins under your belt, get to that second weekend, and then see what happens. Then the pressure can start building up.
Definitely. All right. So let's drop the odds. Who do you think is going to win the Big 12 tournament this year?
I have TCU. I really do. They're the sneaky, like a lot of the like analytics people that I follow have this team. If it's full strength, it's a top 5 team in the nation just because of what they could do on both sides of the ball. I feel like it's gonna start clicking. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, it sucks to say, but like TCU has to make a Sweet 16, or this year is an absolute failure for your best team of all time. They do well in transition. They can't really shoot, but they offensive rebound like crazy. They're high energy. We don't really have, besides Lampkin, another big guy, like a big center, but we have a whole bunch of like 6'7", 6'8" forwards that we could just switch on defenders, which makes us like entirely versatile. I think we got to get some rhythm just because we haven't had Mike and Eddie like at all this season. I know these guys have been playing together for a while now, but we need to get that momentum going. I think they take this really seriously compared to maybe some of the others. Like, I think Texas will take it serious enough, but like nothing big. K-State will take it very seriously. Like, that's probably going to determine it. But I could see us easily in the finals and then going from there. Like, if Eddie plays, I have a good feeling about this TCU team come tournament time.
I can see it. Their 3-point shooting has me worried, and I'm kind of fading them a little bit. But no, in terms of who I'm going with, it's clearly OU. They're clearly going to make a run. Remember that they're the team that beat Alabama by 24 and beat everyone by 20. So clearly the Sooners to take the Big 12.
Patrick Ewing took Georgetown to a tournament by going on one of the most miracle tournament runs I've ever seen in a conference tournament. So it is not out of the possibility that OU doesn't do the same. Granted, Patrick Ewing wasn't doing it in the best conference in college basketball, but it is possible. It is possible.
Well, and not only that, but Kansas City to Chicago. Like, how far away is Chicago from Kansas City? Because I'm saying, here's what we need to do: bring Sister Jean to the tournament. We'll win the whole damn thing. Bring her in, get a little super magic going.
If that happens, we kick out OU early. You're not playing in next year's Big 12. I don't care if you're an independent next year. I am not allowing that. I'm not allowing Sister Jean to once again. We got our wish. Loyola sucks. Like, they are bad. Like, at least I know that
you're not going to get it on the Loyola side.
Yeah, but like I'm so happy that like Loyola's done. I don't think they're going to make a run in their conference tournament. Like, that part is over. Sister Jean is not going to be in March Madness. We can focus on the guys on the court and not the off-court storylines.
Yeah, hey, look, Chicago's only like, I don't know, 7-ish hours away from KC. She can drive. It'll be fine. You know, someone drive her down. She wear a little OU scarf. It'll be perfect. You know, that's how we come back. That's how we fully come back. But no, for real, I love Iowa State here. I think I'm going to go with the Cyclones. This is a tournament that they really care about. They're very good this year. I love their side of the bracket, and I not only that, but at plus 650, I like that as well. But just in general, I think the bracket lines up well. I think it matters to them more than it matters to Kansas. I think they make a run. So give me Iowa State. Okay, so we have our champions, but we have the real important thing about this tournament, which is the entertainment and fan experience enhancements that Brett Yormark has brought to Kansas City. And Blake, before this, we kind of chatted about it. You don't know about any of the enhancements, so I
have not checked it out. I've been kind of MIA this past weekend, and I haven't seen a word about this. Like, I know he did a whole slew of things when it came to the Big 12 championship in football, so I am excited to see it. I'm hoping for like a Supreme Big 12 collaboration.
Oh, Bill Bape is back. Bape is back, baby.
Oh, Bape is back. Yes.
Bape is back. The legendary Bape camouflage marks will be featured across video boards and signage.
That was a low point. Shirt. That was a low point in my life when I went on the Bape store. I'm like, do I buy the $150 Big 12 monkey t-shirt that I will probably never wear, but it's hype. It's in, but I did not end up buying the Bape merchandise, but
well, now you have another chance, so there you go. But also, Grammy-nominated hip-hop legend Fat Joe will be performing a VIP only set on Friday. So there's that. But here's the big kicker. So additionally, Shaq, under his alias DJ Diesel, will be performing a 1-hour set at KC Live in Power Light after Saturday's games. So you got Big Diesel coming to KC.
Big Diesel got that. He has sporting events on lock. He was at the F1 podium ceremony last year. I know a few years ago he's supposed to perform at like TCU's like midnight game or whatever, like whenever they unveiled the basketball teams and had a family emergency. Like, this man has found a niche of just like, I'm gonna be a DJ just for sporting events and get the bag. Oh my god, I would go. If I was in Kansas City, I'm going to see DJ Diesel.
Just go see Big Diesel out there. Jordan Sparks is doing the national anthem for the championship. I haven't heard her name in like 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a deep cut. But here's a more interesting thing. So they're also introducing something called Big 12 Eats, which is something that I love. As if you've ever seen Football Feast, something we put on the YouTube channel, you know I'm all about it. Each school is going to have a food item available at the arena. So, Blake, you want me to read them off for you?
Yes, I need to know.
All right. First off, we have the Baylor float, which is vanilla ice cream and Dr. Pepper.
Yes, it's the Dr. Pepper float. That's like a classic. It's a classic Baylor. And it's actually, if they do it like they do it at Baylor, it's better because it's not like ice cream in liquid. They kind of like infuse the two together. So it's just like kind of like a soft serve ice cream, but it's like Dr. Pepper flavored. So if they do it like Baylor does it, it's actually like it's not like a traditional float. It has a different quality about it that makes it excellent.
Usually that's something that there's no way they go all out. I'll preface this. There's no way.
It's going to be Mr. Pibb. It's going to be Mr. Pibb.
You won't even get the Dr. Pepper right.
It's like...
But overall, concept-wise, pass or like yes or no?
Let's pass. That's actually because it's tied to the school. It's tied to the school. So I'll say
okay, yeah. So that gets the approval. Next up for Iowa State, we have the Cyclones tenderloin, which is a Kaiser bun, a breaded pork tenderloin, sliced onion, and sweet and spicy pickles.
Just sounds like a barbecue sandwich, a barbecue pork sandwich. Is there anything like special or just?
It's like a fried pork sandwich.
Yeah, middle.
Skip.
Like I would eat it, but nothing that I'm running home about.
Okay, that's fair. Next up from Kansas, we have the Jayhawks mac and cheese, which is pasta and creamy white sauce topped with house smoked pulled pork, signature barbecue sauce, and crispy fried onions.
Mac and cheese always plays. I don't think it's anything special to Kansas, but I'll say it plays. I would eat that, but it's nothing.
It's a missed opportunity, but I'm cool with it.
Mm-hmm.
You can do so much more, but also you're in Kansas City, so all the cool Kansas City stuff is literally outside your door. Way better.
Yeah,
so that's fine. Next up from Kansas State, we have K-State's Wabash Cannon Dog, which is a bacon wrapped jumbo hot dog topped with Wildcat purple relish.
I wish they would have done. Don't they do some sort of raspberry dip or something like that?
They do.
Yeah, I think they should have gone with that. I felt like that would be an easier, just like a hit. Like I just feel like every time I think about K-State, I think of the weird like cream. Is it like cream cheese raspberry dip or something like that? It's like a weird.
It's like a raspberry bean dip or something.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's like something weird. Like I wish they would have leaned into some of the weirder ones, but.
It's not weird enough. I agree. Yeah, it's a raspberry chipotle bean dip.
Yeah, I wish they would have done something like that. That would have been infinitely cooler. But at least they went with the purple. I think at least they're trying to. I think more than KU and Iowa State, they're actually kind of leaning into the school a little bit.
The name's cool too. So I mean, it's a bacon hot dog. That's not bad. That's not bad. Next up from OU, we have the Stormin' from Norman, Oklahoma taco, which is an Indian taco, fried bread, topped with ground beef, shredded lettuce, chopped tomato, beans, onions, and chili.
That makes sense. I feel like Indian tacos, I've only seen them in Oklahoma before. I feel like really only at like the Oklahoma State Fair. I don't really see them. Maybe the Arts Festival, like they bring out like a little truck for that. So I feel like that's very fitting. Like it's a very fitting thing for OU to have.
It's a very fitting Oklahoma thing overall. I don't. It doesn't fit OU much, but like
But
it's fine. I think it's cool. I think there could have been better options. Would have loved to see them try to revive the Wonder Boy. But
wait,
that's
what's that?
probably a bit of it. Have you? It's at Diamond Dogs. Have you heard about this?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
With the Captain Crunch corn dog thing.
That would be cool. That would be cool,
Yeah.
especially since is it RIP Diamond Dogs? Aren't they
Yeah,
gone?
it's now for some reason it's a bar that's based around Top Gun. I don't really know why. So they've changed concepts, but but RP Diamond Dogs.
There's nothing like making a bar off of a very like Top Gun was a great movie, but a very fleeting concept, like something that was just popular for a few months. Like
It's a difficult, tough luck. Next up, we have from Oklahoma State, Pistol Pete's OSU fried corn, which is an elote style bacon fried corn topped with crushed Doritos.
I like him. That just seems like an abomination. Like, just get a elote at that point. Like, if you're gonna do it, but like, I just feel like none of that's like. I guess like maybe like adding the cheap Doritos on top of like something is like kind of Stillwater OSU esque, but like I don't get how that's tied to Stillwater at all. Like, I don't see how it's tied to Oklahoma. I don't see how it's tied to this like the city itself. Like, I don't get that one.
It's a pass for me, or not a pass. I'm skipping it. I'm rejecting it.
Like I don't actually have any desire to try it. Like at least some of these other ones, I'm like, oh, the fried pork sandwich, like sounds good, but like.
And here's my thing: is it's if you're gonna do like the chip on the elotes thing, you do it with you don't do it with Doritos. You do it with like some Cheetos. Get a little Cheetah. That goes better with the Lotus. The Lotus doesn't make any sense for Stillwater.
It doesn't.
We don't even know what it is.
The only Mexican restaurant that I knew of in Stillwater was Mexico Joe's, which was like the third spinoff I felt like of their successful franchise after Giuseppe's. Like
Giuseppe's.
Like it makes absolutely no sense. And like that place doesn't know what a elote is. If I asked for a elote there, they would ask me what it is, and I would say, oh, it's like a Mexican corn dish, and they would just come out with like the canned like Jolly Green Giant corn like in a thing. Like they have no idea what a elote is.
No, not only that, but like they actually have some solid culinary options in Stillwater. Like you could have gone for an angle on Eskimo Joe's cheese fries, or gone for I'm blanking so hard. Shoot, they have a weird hot dog there, and it's killing me. The Dirty Curdy. You could have gone with the Dirty Curdy. Maybe that might have been too much, but there are options. I mean, I went with just nothing. That it's a skip, big skip.
That's so bad.
It's horrible. All right, so next up we have your school, TCU. It's the TCU Loaded Tots, tater tots, spicy queso sauce, chopped house smoked brisket, pico de gallo topped with horned frog purple sour cream.
Interesting. It does fit. We do. I will say at our school we do everything purple. Like everything, like the margaritas that they serve are all purple. Like milkshakes, like everything's purple. I would eat it. The purple sour cream kind of freaks me out. I don't know why it is. It's just like dairy products that are different colors. Like kind of. I don't know. It like fits in the same vein of like the purple ketchup and the green ketchup, like back in the day when like the Shrek movies were coming out. Like it kind of fits that, but I'll say like it does fit the vibe a little bit. You kind of get the Fort Worth Tex-Mex with the like I would say the two things of Fort Worth that are the best are Tex-Mex and barbecue, and it kind of fits both of those. So
yeah,
I'll try it. Yeah, it's just the purple sour cream. You just gotta close your eyes for a second.
It's like Luke Skywalker drinking that blue milk or whatever in
like
Last Jedi. Oh, I don't want it.
And I know like Disney World or something serves that. Like you can try it. I just never think like even if they're like it's the best tasting thing, I just don't think I could ever get over it. It's like something about the dairy products mixed with like funky colors just like makes me think it's like rancid or something. I can't. Exactly. Yeah.
It's just, yeah, that's fair, but I can move past it.
Yeah.
All right, out of UT, out of Texas, we have the Longhorn Quesadilla, which is a triple cheese quesadilla, steak or chicken, with burnt orange salsa rojo sauce.
I would say that's fair. I don't think it's nothing special, but I think I don't think anybody hates quesadillas. Like I
It's a
think
quesadilla.
yeah, like a quesadilla always plays. It's meat, cheese, and tortillas that are like usually pretty crispy. So it's
It's a bit boring. They could have done
It's
more.
boring. Oh, it's very boring, but it just plays. It plays, but
I would absolutely just devour one of those. I'm all in on that. I'm all in on that. So next up, we have Texas Tech's Masked Rider Burger, which is an all beef patty, cheddar, fried onion ring, sweet pickled jalapenos, and Red Raiders barbecue sauce.
boo.
Boring.
I like burgers, but just kind of boring. And I just imagine this patty. Like I've realized I don't like a super thick burger, and I just imagine it being about like that big with those big old onion rings. Like you're talking about a burger about this big that you can't fit in your mouth. Down.
Onion rings suck on a burger because
They do.
They get soggy and they're too big. There are way better ways to do onions on a burger, and that's not it.
Grilled, just like
Grilled. Yeah, it's just a nice like sautéed onion, like kind of how they do them like smash burger style, like the Oklahoma onion burger. Perfect. Hell, I even like fresh onion. I'm fine with that too.
Yep.
But an onion ring is like the worst form of onion you could put on a burger, especially when you have barbecue sauce on it. That's another sogginess. So I'm skipping on that.
Ate that. Like whenever I see a burger like that, I just know it's bad because they're loading it with toppings, and it's just like you're trying to distract from the fact that like the burger's just kind of complete ass.
Yeah, just focus on the simplicity. Focus on the simplicity. All right, and then the final one that I actually know pretty well, the West Virginia Mountaineer Roll, which is sliced pepperoni and mozzarella cheese in a soft roll. It's a pepperoni roll, folks, available in Kansas City.
I like it. That would be something I'd have.
It is the most true to a state campus that you could get. That is 100% it. I did the same thing with a Football Feast episode. It was delicious, simple, easy, incredible. And I love that they brought that because that's West Virginia all the way. That's more of these should have been like that. I think West Virginia's Mountaineer Roll and then the Baylor Float are the two best ones by far.
That like actually have some sort of semblance to the university themselves. I feel like all the other ones, some of them try to bring in elements. Other ones, they're just like, we're making an item. The elote, I just can't get over the elote.
The Oklahoma State elote. It's like, what are you doing here? Like, here's the thing: you have this boring ass Texas Tech option. Why not give them the elote?
I know, like that actually kind of makes sense. Like. That makes more sense. Like honestly, if you probably flop those, you're like, oh, like a burger, like an onion ring barbecue sauce. Like you're not saying it's perfectly OSU, but it's not. You're not saying it's out of the blue. But
yeah, the Pistol Pete barbecue burger, like that checks. That actually looks like something you could get at Eskimo Joe's.
Yes, honestly. Like that sounds like something they ripped off the menu.
It really does. So yeah, they should have flopped on that. That's a mistake. But like I say, this concept is going to be interesting next year when they add in Houston, Cincinnati, UCF, and BYU. I don't even know what BYU would be. That'd just be.
Oh God! If they do the Cougar Tails,
they would have to.
No. they would have to, and I have no desire to try one of those. Like I'm not a big sugary guy, and so it seems like my worst nightmare. And then the video going viral this year of like them passing around one, and like RG3 counted like 25 people took a bite of it. Like I'm fine with sharing food a little bit, but if they were just passing that thing around, like I think they knew everybody around them. Like they were like feeding sections of those things. Like I have no desire to try that. Cincinnati is the easiest one, and if you don't
Skyline.
do it, everybody's it has to be Skyline. You got to find a way to license Skyline chili in Kansas City that weekend. Like anything else, it's going to be a disappointment. If you try to do some sort of chili dish that's not Skyline chili, that's just kind of like normal chili, you're going to get ripped apart. So, your mark, find a way to start licensing Skyline chili.
Yeah, 100% without a doubt. Houston, that's an interesting one. I would go with something you can get at their stadium, which is they have these like massive turkey legs
Oh
Uh,
yeah, I'm a big turkey leg guy. I would be fine with that.
yeah, the Turkey Leg Hut is a very famous spot down there, I guess, and they have them at Tadeku or however you pronounce it. Their stadium in Houston, they have a stand there, so that's probably where they would go with Houston. But there's a myriad of things you could go with that city. It's excellent. UCF, I don't know.
They are putting a gun to Yormark's head and making him serve the like astronaut ice cream. They're like, "We are the space school. You will serve the NASA like astronaut ice cream bars." That have you ever had one of those, Bobby?
I have never even heard of this.
Oh my god, it is freeze-dried ice cream, and it's the most like disgusting thing you'll ever try. It like tastes like a block of chalk that you bite into, and they like sell them at NASA, and they're always like, it's kind of just like they're not really like, I don't think the astronauts are eating this. Like they're just like, we freeze-dried like something that tastes kind of like Neapolitan ice cream, and
Oh,
they are 100% gonna force them to just to like show like we're the space program, like we love space. Our Green Farm University loves space.
I guess so. Yeah, they could do that. They could maybe get away with doing some like I don't know churros from Disney World. I don't know. That's a tough one.
Yep.
Hopefully, it's not that though. That sounds horrible.
The blue
Um,
milk from Disney World.
oh, gross. Uh, but in terms of actual basketball, that's going to be interesting too. Having Kelvin back in town, you know, that Houston team is. I don't think they're going to have a dip. I think just adjusting to the new competition, but I think there's that is such a good basketball add to the Big 12.
Yeah, in it, like, it kind of naturally fits with a lot of the styles of the Big 12. Like, a lot of them are, like, you get one flashy freshman prospect all around, like, a lot of, like, junior, senior talent, and, like, Houston's building that way. So is Baylor. So is Kansas for the longest time. Texas has basically built that this year. Like, TCU has built that. Like, a lot of these, even if you look at an OU, like, OU's built around, like, some good old talent, and I think that's like they're such a natural fit. And it's just so wild that Kelvin Sampson, driven out of two major schools, and like somehow like in his like later years has become like a top 5 coach right now in college basketball. It makes no sense, but
It's so wild, and his staff is so filled with guys from like that 2002 era OU basketball team. You know, Quantus White, you know, Hollis Price, his son, obviously. That I think a lot of OU fans really want like if Moser doesn't work out to go in and just like pilfer their coaching staff, just bring them all home. Like I could see that working.
you got to get past the what is it, Fertitta, that he like he probably he's paying Kelvin Sampson the bag, and you know it, just to like it's making Houston very relevant in one sport, especially one that they kind of have a pretty rich tradition in with like the Phi Slamma Jamma years. They got the
Yep.
Jordan sponsorship. Like when it comes to basketball, like that's really big, and so they just kind of like, I don't know, it just fits so perfectly. And it's just wild that he's kind of had a late, like he was always a great coach, but like a renaissance in the later years of his coaching career to build like one of the better teams consistently that are like, whenever you come to March Madness, like I think they've had some easy roads, but they like get to Elite Eights and Final Fours. Like that's the thing, is like they don't really they get bounced by the better programs, but they're not getting bounced by the people that are worse than them, which is honestly kind of like a really good thing in March Madness. It's like, don't get upset. Like if you lose to the number 1 seed in your side of the bracket, like fine, you go home. Like just don't get upset by Blow Bob or like St. Peter's in like your
Yeah.
bracket. Like that's the thing. It's like avoid embarrassment, and then you can deal with the fact if you're losing Elite Eights or something like that. Like you're at least
Yeah.
getting far.
At that point, it's a crapshoot for like everyone. So yeah. But all right, Blake, that's all we have for the Big 12 tournament preview. Very excited to watch the Big 12 tournament and the rest of it. This is just truly one of the best weeks of sports. Just a feast of hoops. I'm so pumped. Looking forward to seeing how it shakes out, and fingers crossed for OU making a run. But also, if they lose game 1, then they won't break my heart down the line, which they eventually will. But no, I'm excited for March Madness. We're going to do our March Madness mega show next week, which is always fun, going through every single game, creating the uni bracket. I'm sure we'll have Ty moderate that as well. And then later on this week, for all y'all OU fans who are like, hey, what is all this basketball talk? I want to hear about some recruits. I want to hear about some combine results. Don't worry. We got that coming out on Thursday. We're recording live on that one, getting back in the loop. And hey, Jameson's back in town, folks. He's back from his European vacation. So we're super pumped to have him back in action. But that tournament pod, Blake, always fun.
Oh, I'm ready. I am ready. There's something special about it. It brings out the best and the worst in us. It brings out the anger. It brings out the tears. It brings out the happiness whenever your team that you really love advances. There's going to be somebody that has, like, in their bracket, somebody going to the Elite Eight Final Four that somehow randomly gets eliminated by Eastern Washington University in the first round that is just like dumbfounded about how two idiots could possibly vote for that squad. But it's an entertaining pod. It's a long one, but it's a fun one. It's a fun listen. It's a good way just to, I think we all bring a nice little blend of ridiculousness, but also some insight to the teams, every single team in the March Madness bracket. So I'm ready for it next week.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. That first and second round too, by the way, my anniversary obviously is coming up, and mistake, maybe not a mistake, but an unintended consequence of getting married on March Madness weekend. That happens all the time. So
I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about how like the unintended consequences later on down the line.
So when you take a your anniversary trip to say Denver, and don't realize until months later that that city is hosting the first and second rounds of the NCAA tournament, it changes the dynamics of your trip pretty quickly in terms of planning reservations. And thankfully we got the hotel already, but Duriel, not too happy about March Madness being Denver. And it's going to be it's going to lead me into temptation over here, being like, I just want to sneak away for a couple quick games, you know?
Bobby's just like, I could get a cheap seat in the arena, just go sneak in, watch a few, like
just pop into the Ball Arena to watch, I don't know, Green Bay, Wisconsin play Purdue. Or the weird thing is they actually last time I saw March of like the Lenardi projections, they actually had Texas there. So I'm like, great, I'm gonna have to deal with a bunch of UT fans everywhere. But
a first 1 year anniversary for the Nightmares is that.
It won't be that bad.
It won't be bad. No, not that part, but you don't want to deal with the Texas fans, like especially Texas fans that they actually start winning some March Madness games. Like that's going to be a dangerous combination.
I'd rather not go where the Texas fans are. So hopefully they find a way to not be in Denver, but we'll see how it goes. Anyways, that's our pod. Blake, thank you so much for joining as per usual. Looking forward to talking more hoops with you next week.
Awesome. Sounds good. I'm ready for next week. We'll have a bracket by this time next week. We will have a bracket.
It's exciting. All right. For me and Boat and Blake, this has been Heart Hustle Hardwood, a Schooner Pod podcast. We'll see you next time on Thursday when we talk some football. Have a great week, everyone. And Boomer Sooner. Or Go Frogs. Or whatever you root for.